They say first loves never leave you. Maybe that's true. Or maybe they just leave scars deep enough you feel them every damn time the weather changes. Either way, mine started in a town nobody remembers and a state people only fly over. Picture cracked sidewalks, rusted basketball hoops, and one diner where half the school worked on weekends. That was my world. Nothing fancy. Nothing spectacular. And in that gray little bubble, Tessa Langford was color. I first noticed her in sophomore biology. Not because she was the loud one, she wasn't. She was the quiet kind, the type who kept her head down until someone cracked a joke and she'd bite her lip to hide a laugh. And God help me, that laugh hooked me faster than any textbook ever could. The first real conversation we had was over a frog dissection. She wrinkled her nose, pushed the tray toward me and said, "You're better at this kind of thing. You do it." I grinned. "What, cutting things open?" She shrugged. "Fixing things. Breaking things. You're the shop class guy. I'm just trying not to puke on my shoes." That was Tessa. Even when she was nervous, she had this way of disarming you. By junior year we were glued together. Friday night games? I was in the bleachers with her, half paying attention to the score, half memorizing the way she curled her hair behind her ear. Prom? We went in my dad's old Chevy truck because neither of us cared about limos. We danced until our feet blistered, then ditched early to sit on the hood of that truck watching the stars. That night she told me her dream: "I want to be a nurse. Not just any nurse, a good one. The kind who holds your hand when you're scared. The kind people remember." I laughed and said, "So basically you want to be a superhero without the cape." She smacked my shoulder. "I'm serious, Wade." "So am I," I told her. "You'll do it." She did. She always had that fire. Me? I wasn't the dreamer. I was the fixer. The one people called when a faucet leaked or a carburetor coughed. My guidance counselor said, "You're not college material." Maybe she thought that would break me. Instead it lit a fuse. By senior year I'd made up my mind. I wasn't staying in that town to rot. I needed something bigger, harder, something that demanded more from me. The Navy called my name. Specifically the Corpsman program. If I was going to be the fixer, I'd do it where it mattered most, patching up men who were bleeding out in places most people couldn't even point to on a map. When I told Tessa, her eyes watered. "That's dangerous, Wade." I squeezed her hand. So is driving down Main Street when old man Hawkins forgets his glasses. "Look, this is purpose. You're going to save lives in hospitals. I'm going to save them in the dirt. We'll meet in the middle." She pressed her forehead to mine and whispered, "Promise me we'll make it work." I promised. And back then, I meant it with every bone in my body. Graduation came, caps flew, and our roads split. Her acceptance letter to nursing school was tucked in her purse like a golden ticket. My enlistment papers were folded in my wallet, damp with sweat from clutching them too hard. The last night before I shipped out, we sat on that same truck hood, silence hanging heavier than the summer air. "Call me," she said. "Whenever I can. Write me. Every chance I get." She leaned against me. "I don't care where you go. Just, come back." I didn't know it then, but those words would echo louder than gunfire in the years to come. The first time I heard bullets crack over my head, I realized two things. Hollywood makes gunfire sound way cooler than it is. I wasn't ready. Not even close. You don't forget your first deployment. The desert heat feels like it's peeling your skin. The air smells like diesel, sweat, and something burnt you can't place. And when it hits the fan, you don't have time to think. You just act. I remember a Marine screaming, clutching his stomach, blood pouring through his fingers. My training screamed, triage. Prioritize. My brain whispered, don't screw this up. Hand steady. Gauze packed. Tourniquet tight. Morphine injected. And the whole time, through the chaos, I thought of her. Tessa. Her laugh. The way she once said, "You'll fix people someday, Wade." I fixed him. Barely. He lived. That night, sitting on a cot with hands that wouldn't stop shaking, I pulled out one of her letters. Her handwriting looped and messy. "Don't forget to eat. I know you. You'll skip meals if you're busy." I laughed, bitter and tired. Marines were still screaming in the distance, and here was Tessa reminding me to eat. Somehow that anchored me. Whenever I came home on leave, it was like two worlds colliding. Airports were our battlegrounds. One time I stepped off the jet bridge still smelling like sand and gun oil, and there she was running toward me in scrubs. She nearly tackled me. For a moment the war melted away. But goodbyes? Those killed me more than gunfire ever could. "I'll write you," she'd whisper against my uniform. "I'll read every word, I'd promise." She'd wipe her eyes, trying to be strong. "Come back to me, Wade." And I always said, "I will." even if I wasn't sure. Meanwhile, Tessa was grinding through nursing school. I wired money from overseas to help with tuition. Bought her books. When she said her rent was tight, I slipped her cash. When finals week broke her, I mailed care packages, coffee beans, her favorite chocolate, little notes with, "Don't forget you're tougher than this crap." She'd call when she could. Usually late at night, her voice exhausted. "I miss you. Classes are brutal. But I'm doing it. Wait. I'm gonna be that nurse." "I know you are," I'd say. "And I'm proud of you." Sometimes though she sounded distant. Distracted. Like my voice was just background noise while she typed notes on her laptop. I brushed it off. Distance does that, right? I told myself every couple struggles long distance. We were solid. We had to be. My second deployment was worse than the first. More blood. More screams. There was one night, I still dream about it, when I was elbow deep trying to clamp an artery, sandstorm blowing, the kid on the ground begging, "Don't let me die, document." I didn't let him. But afterward, sitting in the dark, I pulled out another letter from Tessa. This one was shorter. "Sorry I've been busy. Exams. Don't worry, I'm fine." I stared at that page longer than I should have. Something about it felt different. Like she was writing out of obligation, not love. But when I came home again, she was there at the airport, crying into my uniform, whispering, "Never leave me again." And I believed her. 'Cause I wanted to. When she finally graduated nursing school and landed a job at a Navy hospital near my base, I thought, this is it. We survived the hard part. I was wrong. Because the war didn't follow me home in the way I expected. It wasn't sandstorms or gunfire. It was whispers in hospital hallways. It was Jenna Cole. I've dealt with infections in the field. You catch them early, you save the limb. You miss the signs, you lose the patient. Relationships aren't much different. The infection in mine had a name, Jenna Cole. Tessa met her when she started at the Navy hospital. At first it seemed harmless. Tessa would come home, drop her bag and vent about patients or paperwork. Somewhere in there Jenna's name always popped up. "Jenna says I'm lucky you're supportive." Most guys would feel threatened by a woman with ambition. Sounded flattering, right? Supportive boyfriend. Check. But the second half stuck like a splinter. Most guys would feel threatened. Why mention that? Next week, Tessa mentioned, "Jenna asked if you ever use money against me since you cover rent sometimes." I laughed. Loud, disbelieving. "What?" "Tess, I've emptied deployment pay to keep you from stressing about rent. You ever feel like I lord that over you?" She hesitated. Too long. "No, of course not." I told her, "You're not like that." But her eyes flickered. And I knew the seed had been planted. From there, it was constant. Little cuts, one after another. I brought Tessa her favorite pad thai during a double shift. She texted later, "Thanks, babe. But Jenna said it's weird you didn't ask what I wanted first." I stared at my phone, baffled. I'd gotten the exact order she always asked for. Why would I need to ask? When she got her first promotion, I booked dinner at a spot she'd been talking about for months. Over wine she smiled, then dropped, "Jenna says you always pick the place. She thinks you're too controlling." I nearly choked. Controlling? I picked the restaurant you literally begged me to try. She frowned like she wasn't sure if she believed herself or me. One night, I was fixing her leaky sink, grease up to my elbows, when she leaned against the doorway. "You know what Jenna asked today? If you ever wish you did something more polished. Like not just a corpsman. Maybe a doctor or officer." I tightened the wrench until the pipe squealed. "Not just a corpsman? Tess, I've pulled shrapnel out of men's throats. I've restarted hearts in the back of Humvees. You think those guys gave a damn about polished?" She bit her lip. "I didn't mean it like that. I'm just telling you what she said." But she'd carried it home. She let it roll around in her head long enough to repeat it out loud. That's what stung. The worst was when I missed a work function. Submarine's basement flooded during a storm, and I had to help evacuate his family. Real emergency. Life and death. Later, Tessa sighed, "Jenna said that's the thing about guys like you. Your work always comes first." That one cut deep. Because she wasn't wrong, my work did come first. When someone's bleeding out or a family's trapped, it damn well has to. But hearing it framed as a flaw? That was new. I tried bringing it up. One night I said, "Tess, do you ever notice how Jenna always has something negative to say about me?" She frowned. "She's just blunt. Don't take it personally." "Blunt?" I scoffed. "Blunt is saying the coffee sucks. What she's doing. That's a pattern." Tessa crossed her arms. "Why are you so defensive? She's just looking out for me." I stared at her, realizing she genuinely couldn't see it. Or maybe she didn't want to. The infection spread faster than I could cauterize it. Helping her move apartments? I spent the whole weekend hauling boxes, building IKEA nightmares, fixing a busted outlet. That night, she smiled gratefully, then added, "Jenna says it's weird you didn't just hire movers. She thinks you risk too much for little things." I laughed, bitter. Risk? Tess, I spent deployments carrying bleeding men on stretchers. You think a damn box is gonna take me out? But deep down, it wasn't about movers or dinner choices. It was about influence. Jenna didn't want to just be her coworker. She wanted to be the voice in Tessa's head. And the more she whispered, the less I recognized the woman I'd once promised I'd come back to. I'd carried that ring through a combat zone. Through sandstorms, firefights, and the kind of nights where the stars themselves felt like they were watching men die. It wasn't just metal and stone. It was proof that I'd survived hell. That I had something to live for. That she was worth every bruise and scar. I designed it myself, both our birthstones forming a heart framed by small diamonds. A box with 2 little lights inside, one glowing yes, one glowing no. Cheesy? Maybe. But it was us. I wanted her to see how much thought I'd poured into it. All I had to do was get through dinner. The restaurant was a little Italian spot by the water. Dim lighting, candles, soft music. Intimate. Romantic. Exactly the kind of place you pop the question. When she walked in, I swear the whole room dimmed compared to her. Green dress, hair loose over her shoulders, eyes catching the candlelight like glass. For a moment, my rehearsed speech evaporated. I just saw the girl who once dissected a frog with me, who whispered on truck hoods that we'd make it through anything. But then she sat down. And something was wrong. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Her fingers drummed on the table. She sipped her water like it was buying her time. I tried to shake it off. Made small talk. Told her about Eli, my Navy buddy, who'd nearly blown himself up lighting a grill. She laughed politely. Polite. Like she was watching from a distance. Halfway through her lasagna, she set her fork down. Cleared her throat. And my stomach dropped. Wait. I need to talk to you about something. My hand brushed the ring box in my pocket. Not now. Not like this. Okay, I said, forcing steady. I've been thinking about us. And I think we should take a break. The words hit harder than any mortar round. A break? I echoed. Where the hell is this coming from? She bit her lip, eyes glistening. I don't know if this is working anymore. I feel like maybe we're too different. Jenna says. There it was. The infection speaking through her mouth. Jenna says. I snapped louder than I meant. Heads turned. I didn't care. Tessa, are you really breaking off nearly a decade with me because of what Jenna says? She flinched. Don't yell. Please. She made me realize I might be holding myself back. I leaned back, heartbeat in my throat. For a moment, I just looked at her. The girl who once promised to wait through deployments, who cried in airports, who swore she didn't care about the distance. And now, across from me, she couldn't even meet my eyes. Slowly, I pulled the ring box from my pocket. Set it on the table between us. Her breath caught. Is that? Yeah, I said flatly. The ring I was going to give you tonight. The one I carried through combat. The one I thought you deserved. Her eyes welled. Wade. I pushed the box back toward me. But you don't deserve it. She gasped, tears spilling. Please don't say that. No. Let me finish. My voice was cold, steady now. I've spent years supporting you. Paying your rent. Sending care packages while I was patching holes in dying Marines. Believing in you when you didn't even believe in yourself. And you repay me with this. She sobbed. I just need time to figure out what I want. Figure it out with someone else, I snapped. Because I'm done. Thank God you showed me your true colors before I got down on one knee. You want a break? You've got one. But when you realize what you lost, don't come crawling back. I won't be here. I stood, tucked the ring box back into my pocket, tossed cash on the table and walked out. Behind me, her sobs echoed, but I didn't turn around. Outside, the air was sharp, cool, almost cleansing. But inside, I was burning alive. I'd faced ambushes, explosions, blood spraying across my face. None of it compared to sitting across from the woman I loved and hearing her say, "You're not enough." Not in her league. That's what Jenna had whispered. And now it was gospel. I walked into the night with my heart still in that ring box, realizing I'd been fighting a war at home and never even saw the ambush coming. You'd think walking out of that restaurant would have given me closure. That I'd feel righteous, strong, some kind of movie hero storming into the night. Nah. It felt like my chest was full of glass shards. I sat on the edge of my barracks bunk, still in the same clothes, staring at the ring box in my hand. The little yes light I'd wired inside it mocked me. The no button I'd added for a laugh suddenly felt like prophecy. I told myself not to open Instagram. Not tonight. Not when the wound was still fresh. But heartbreak makes you stupid, and I was about to prove it. The first few stories were harmless. Friends back home posting memes, Marines from my unit showing off bad haircuts, a cat video that would have made me laugh yesterday. Then I saw it. Jenna's profile picture. That snake's smirk staring at me from the corner of the screen. I should have skipped it, but my thumb hovered, then tapped. Music blared through my phone. A living room crammed with people, beer cans, flashing lights, drunk laughter. Nothing unusual. Then the camera panned. And there she was. Tessa. My Tessa. Except she wasn't mine anymore. She was draped across some guy, his arm locked tight around her waist like he'd owned it for years. She leaned into him, her head tilted back, laughing. No giggling, the kind of giggle I hadn't heard since high school. The kind of laugh she used to save for me. And the bastard wasn't even subtle. His hand slid lower, pulling her close, and she didn't stop him. Didn't even hesitate. My stomach dropped while burning the back of my throat. Then I noticed something worse. I'd been tagged. Not publicly. Oh no, Jenna was smarter than that. She used that sneaky Instagram feature where only the tagged person sees it. A private little delivery just for me. Her message was clear. Look what she picked over you. I froze, phone trembling in my hands. Part of me wanted to believe I was misreading. That Tessa was just drunk, that the guy was just some coworker helping her stand. But no. I know body language. I know desperation. And I know when someone's made their choice. She didn't look drunk. She looked happy. Free. Like shaking me off at dinner had been a weight lifted, and she couldn't wait to celebrate it with the nearest pair of arms. I sat there, paralyzed, watching the loop replay until the timer ran out. Then I hurled the phone across the room. It hit the wall, cracked, slid to the floor. Didn't matter. The image was burned into my skull. It wasn't just betrayal, it was humiliation. She didn't even give it a day. Not a week. Not a month. 5 hours. 5 hours after telling me she needed space, she was in another man's arms, laughing like I'd been nothing but a footnote. And Jenna, God Jenna, she'd orchestrated it. She'd filmed it, tagged me, made sure the knife went in clean. I'd patched up Marines who'd lost limbs. I'd held men down while they screamed through morphine. But sitting alone in that room, staring at the cracked phone, I realized nothing in combat had ever cut this deep. Not because I lost her. Because she wanted me to see it. Because she wanted me to feel it. And that's when something inside me shifted. No more pleading. No more rationalizing. No more waiting for her to figure things out. She'd made her choice. And now, I was going to make mine. My phone lit up on the floor like a distress flare. 1 call. 2 calls. Then a dozen. All the same name across the cracked screen. Tessa. At first I ignored it. Sat there on the edge of my bed, elbows on my knees, staring at the ring box. My thumb traced the edge of the lid like it might give me answers. But she didn't stop calling. 10 times. 15. 20. Finally, curiosity drowned out my rage. I picked up. Hello, I said flatly. Wait, please. Her voice was broken, ragged from crying. Please let me explain. I leaned back, stone cold. Explain what? How you were grinding on some random guy 5 hours after telling me you needed a break. It wasn't like that, she sobbed. I was drunk. Jenna, she introduced me to him. I didn't even know. I laughed. A bitter, sharp bark that startled even me. You didn't know? Tess, don't insult me. You knew exactly whose arms you were in. That wasn't a mistake. That was a choice. Silence. Just her breath hitching through the line. Then weakly, I'm sorry. I was stupid. I felt my jaw clench. No. Stupid is leaving your headlights on. Stupid is burning the toast. What you did. That was deliberate. You made your bed. Now lie in it. Her sobs cracked through the line. Wait, I love you. I was confused. I cut her off. Love. Don't you dare use that word. Love doesn't collapse in 5 hours. Love doesn't jump into the first set of arms it finds. Whatever that was, it wasn't love. She tried again, desperate. Jenna manipulated me. Stop. My voice was ice. You want to blame Jenna? Fine. She's poison. But you? You let her drip into your ear until you believed her. You let her ruin us. And then you proved her right. There was silence. A silence so heavy I could almost hear her crumble. I ended it with one line. You don't deserve me. Then I hung up. Blocked her number. Tossed the phone back on the floor like it was infected. I didn't sleep. Just sat there, staring at the ceiling, listening to my own heartbeat hammering in my ears. Around midnight there was a knock on my door. My Navy buddy. Big guy, buzz cut, the kind of Marine who could joke about losing a finger while holding it in his other hand. He leaned against the frame. "You look like hell, document." "Feel like it," I muttered. He stepped inside, cracked open 2 beers, handed me one. "Heard about Tessa. Word travels fast." I snorted. "Bet Jenna's already selling the story like she wrote it herself." Eli sipped, watching me. "You okay?" I opened the ring box, stared at the stones glinting in the dim light. I was gonna give her this tonight. Instead, she gave me a breakup speech and then went clubbing with some clown. Eli whistled low. "That's cold." I took a long swig. "I've patched up Marines with more loyalty than that." He smirked grimly. "So what now? Gonna let her crawl back or gonna cauterize that wound like you do in the field?" I shut the ring box with a snap. "She's already dead to me." Eli clinked his beer against mine. "That's the doc I know. The thing about combat is you learn to move on quick. You don't get to linger when the battlefield's screaming. You stitch, you pack, you move to the next casualty. This was no different. Tessa was just another wound I wasn't going to bleed out from. 2 weeks later, my body finally tapped out. I'd been grinding through drills, running on energy drinks and anger, telling myself I was fine. But your body doesn't care how tough you talk. It cashes the check eventually. Mine did on the pier. 1 second I was upright, the next I was face down, the world spinning like a busted carousel. When I came to, I was in a Navy hospital bed. Fluorescent lights. 4 drip. My chest tight with stitches. Every muscle screaming. Groggy, I blinked, expecting to see Eli or maybe one of my unit buddies. Instead, I saw her. Not Tessa. Jenna Cole. She was perched in a chair beside me, legs crossed, leaning forward with this faux concern plastered across her face like a bad mask. "Oh my God, Wade," she whispered, reaching for my hand. "You scared me." I flinched weakly, pulling my hand away. My throat was sandpaper, my voice gravel. "What the hell are you doing here?" She gave me this soft little smile like we were sharing some private moment. "I heard you collapsed. They said you needed surgery. I couldn't just stay away. I had to see you." Her tone dripped sugar, but her eyes? Her eyes glittered like a predator that finally had its prey cornered. I stared, trying to focus through the haze. "You had to." "Yes." She leaned closer, dropping her voice like we were co-conspirators. "I've been so worried about you. After everything with Tessa, you didn't deserve any of that." My stomach turned. There it is. The angle. She tucked her hair behind her ear, lowering her lashes. "You're such a good man, Wade. Strong. Selfless. She didn't appreciate you. She didn't know what she had. But I do." I blinked slowly, forcing myself not to react. Morphine made me sluggish, but her words cut sharp enough. "You think you know me?" I croaked. She smiled sly. "I've always known you. I saw it from the beginning. The way you carry yourself. The way you care. You don't belong with someone who questions your worth. You belong with someone who sees it." And then, like she'd rehearsed it, she reached forward and brushed her fingers against mine. Every instinct screamed at me to yank my hand back, to bark at her until the walls shook. But another part of me, the part trained to stay calm while a Marine bled out in my lap, told me to wait. To watch. To let her think she had me. So I let my hand stay limp under hers, even as disgust rolled through me. Inside, the realization clicked like a chambered round. This was never about Tessa. Jenna's little compliments, her whispers, her digs, none of it had been for Tessa's good. It had all been for her. She wanted to break me down, strip me bare, then swoop in like some savior. She wasn't a friend. She wasn't even an enemy. She was a parasite, patient and hungry, waiting for the host to finally collapse. But here's the thing about parasites. You don't feed them. You starve them. Then you burn them out. I closed my eyes, letting my head sink back into the pillow, pretending exhaustion. "Thanks, Jenna," I murmured, barely audible. "Means a lot." Her smile widened, triumphant. She thought she'd won. And right then I made my decision. I was going to let her dig her own grave. When you're a combat medic, you learn to work under pressure. When the artery's pumping and the clock is ticking, you don't panic. You focus. That's exactly how I treated Jenna Cole, like a bleeding wound I was going to clamp shut. So I played along. It started with text. "Jenna, hey, just checking in. Hope you're resting okay." Me, "Yeah. Slow recovery. Thanks for asking." Neutral. Flat. Just enough to keep her hooked. She escalated. "Jenna, I've been thinking about you a lot. You're such a strong person, Wade. I don't know how Tessa ever let you go. I screenshotted it. Filed it in a hidden folder I named Snake Venom. The messages got bolder. Jenna, wish you were here instead of her. Attached selfie. Low-cut top, glass of wine. Me to myself, oh good, the parasite's mating call. I didn't reply that night. She doubled down the next morning with a voice memo. Her voice cracked, fake tremble. I prayed for you during surgery. I realized how much I care about you. I feel like we're closer now. Closer. That word tasted like rot. I saved the audio. Then came the casseroles. Every few days she'd swing by uninvited, knock and leave something on my doorstep. Lasagna. Mac and cheese. Chicken pot pie. Always with a sticky note, made with love. I tossed them straight in the trash, but not before snapping a photo for the Venom folder. Eli caught me once, shaking his head. Man, you've got a stalker with a Pinterest account. Don't worry, I muttered. I'm just letting her build her own noose. 2 weeks in, she called out of nowhere. Wait? I just wanted to hear your voice, she said, syrupy sweet. I kept my tone neutral. I appreciate the concern. She giggled, fake and forced. I feel like, this whole thing, you being sick, it made me realize how much I care about you. I almost laughed. Instead, I said, yeah, I guess it has. That one sentence was gasoline on her fire. From then on, she went full throttle. Jenna, good morning, babe, face blowing a kiss. Jenna, thinking about you all day. Jenna, we should hang out soon. Just the two of us. I started mirroring her messages back, dropping little half compliments. Enough to keep her chasing. The more desperate she sounded, the calmer I became. Like watching a patient bleed slower and slower until you knew the end was near. When we finally met up, I knew she thought she had me. She showed up in heels, red lipstick, hair curled like she was auditioning for a soap opera. She sat across from me at a coffee shop, leaning in close, touching my arm every chance she got. You know, Wade, she whispered, I've always admired loyalty. Honesty. Things Tessa clearly didn't value. But I do. I sipped my coffee deadpan. Yeah. Her hand slid across the table, brushing mine. We could be good together. In my head, I was already writing the Reddit update. Mission log. Snake made physical contact. Recommend quarantine. But out loud I just said, maybe? She beamed like she'd won the lottery. And I smiled too, because she didn't realize she'd just walked into my trap. Every op needs timing. You don't rush in. You wait until the target's overconfident, careless, fat on their own delusion. Jenna was ripe. My Snake Venom folder was overflowing. Selfies, voice memos, babe texts, casseroles photographed in my trash. I had enough ammo to sink her faster than a torpedo. So I pulled the pin. One night, I sat in my barracks room, phone glowing against the dark. With one tap, I sent the entire folder to Tessa. Screenshots, voicemails, everything. No caption. No explanation. Just the truth, raw and unfiltered. Within 5 minutes, she read them. Within 10, she replied. Tessa, Wade, what is this? Please tell me this isn't real. Please. I didn't answer. Silence was louder than any comeback. The fallout hit like artillery. 2 days later, Eli barged into my room grinning. Bro, you won't believe what just went down at the hospital. I raised a brow. Try me. He sat on my desk, practically vibrating. Tessa cornered Jenna in the break room. Whole staff watching. She slammed your screenshots on the table like court evidence. I leaned back, smirking. And? Eli's grin widened. And Jenna tried to spin it. Said you chased her. Said you couldn't handle the breakup, so you came after her. I barked a laugh. Classic. Did anyone buy it? Not a damn soul. Tessa lost it. Started yelling, you ruined my relationship, you snake. You manipulated me. I pictured it, almost hearing Tessa's voice cracking, coworkers whispering. What did Jenna do? She snapped right back. Said you were always hers, that she was just saving you from wasting your life. Then, get this, they went at each other. Security had to drag them both out. I blinked. They fought. Oh, fists flew, man. Like a bar brawl in Scrubs. For the first time in weeks, I felt a genuine laugh shake my chest. The aftermath was swift. HR doesn't tolerate public brawls in front of patients. By the end of the week, both Tessa and Jenna were canned. Their spotless nurse reputations? Torched. Their coworkers? Whispering like vultures picking a carcass. I didn't have to lift a finger. They destroyed each other while I sat back with my feet up. It was poetic. That night, I cracked a beer with Eli on the balcony. He smirked. So, document. You happy with the fallout? I took a long swig, exhaled slow. Happy? No. Satisfied? Hell yes. He nodded. Guess you ran a clean op. I looked out at the dark water, the taste of victory bitter and sweet. Nah, Eli. I didn't run an op. I just let two parasites devour each other. It didn't take long. Parasites don't know when to quit. A week after the hospital brawl, I got a knock at my door. I opened it and there she was, Tessa Langford. No makeup, hair yanked into a messy bun, eyes swollen from crying. The green dress that once sparkled at dinner was replaced with an oversized hoodie like she was trying to shrink inside it. Wade, she whispered, voice cracking. Please, can we talk? I leaned on the doorframe, arms crossed. Talk? Thought Jenna was your mouthpiece now. Her face crumpled. I was stupid. I let her get in my head. She planted doubts and I believed them. But it was all lies. I see that now. You're the only one who ever truly loved me. Her tears spilled. She reached for my hand. Please, let's fix this. I let her hold my silence for a long beat. Then I pulled my hand back. Tess, I said coldly, I patched Marines on death's door who begged me to keep them alive. I've seen loyalty in their last breath. You folded in 5 hours. That's not confusion. That's who you are. She broke down, sobbing openly. I'll do anything, Wade, anything. No, I cut in sharp as a scalpel. You had everything, and you threw it away. You don't get to crawl back now that you realize what you lost. I stepped back and shut the door. Her sobs echoed down the hallway as she knocked, begged, then finally shuffled away. The very next day, as if fate had a sense of humor, Jenna showed up. She didn't bother with tears. She arrived in a fitted blazer, painted smile, carrying another damn casserole dish like bribery. Wade, she purred. I know things got messy, but we can move past that. I know you care about me. I felt it. I stared at her. You felt nothing. You mistook strategy for affection. Her smile twitched. We could be good together. You know it. You're strong, I'm strong. We'd be unstoppable. I stepped forward, voice low, dangerous. No, Jenna. You and Tessa? You're both infections. And the only cure is removal. Her eyes widened. I pointed at the casserole. Take that and your delusions and get out. Then I slammed the door. I didn't watch her leave. Didn't need to. Life moved on. My stitches healed. My head cleared. My career thrived. I poured my energy back into my unit, trained new corpsmen, and found purpose again. And then, when I wasn't even looking, I met Charlotte. A woman who didn't measure me by rank or paycheck, but by the way I listened, by the way I showed up. With her, there were no poison whispers. No games. Just laughter over cheap pizza, quiet support after long days, and a kind of loyalty that felt unshakable. Meanwhile, Tessa and Jenna? Last I heard, they were jobless, blacklisted from the hospital, and barely speaking except to hurl insults at each other. Parasites devouring themselves. Do I feel sorry? Not even a little. See, combat teaches you something civilians forget. Wounds fester if you don't cut deep enough. If you want to live, you don't hesitate. You slice fast, clean, final. That's what I did with them. Because in war or in love, betrayal rots deeper than any bullet wound. And the only cure is amputation. So I amputated. And I walked away.